Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this post-mortem episode for the Lansing Ignite series. You know, in this episode, we're going to sort of go over what happened, maybe try to figure out where we went wrong. You know, because for those of you who are just skipping to the end, I guess, and didn't watch the rest of the series, long story short, we failed. We failed at everything. We didn't keep a positive bank balance like we were supposed to, and we didn't make the playoffs, and so we were fired by the owner, and that was the end of our series. But it's been a couple of days. I've had a little time to think it over, and I think we can go back and look at what happened and sort of answer some unanswered questions. First of all, who won the championship? Well, it was Madison, of course. They were the best team all season long. They made it through the playoffs. They beat our particular rival, Toronto FC 2, in the first round, semifinals, 2-1. And then they beat Richmond, the second best team. Basically, they were second best team since the mid-season. They started out a little rough in the first half, and then they took off in the second half of the season. But yeah, Madison over Richmond, again, 2-1 score, making Madison your 2019 League One champion. Now, some other things we can take a look at. Stats. I don't know if these stats are misleading or not, but honestly, they're a little better than I thought. We did a little better in these areas than maybe I had at first. You know, when the season first ended, I was like, man, we didn't score enough goals, and we let in too many goals. That was basically my thought process. But, I think we did okay, at least according to these league stats. We finished third in goals scored with 46, only 2 goals behind North Texas. The problem is that it's a little skewed because Madison crushed everybody, 62 goals. I mean, they were a goal-scoring machine, headed up by Mason Toy. So, not too bad, finishing third in goals scored. So it must be our defense, right? It must be our defense that let us down this season. And our best heading, we weren't the greatest in headers. 60%, I guess, is okay. Fifth in the league. In this league, only 10 teams. So fifth in the league is actually pretty bad. It'd be like finishing, 10th or 12th in MLS, which is no good. You want to finish in the top 8 at least in MLS. So, we'd probably want to finish 3 or 4, which, we weren't too far off of that. But heading wasn't our strength anyway. But, that is what it is. But possession, that's pretty good. Finishing top in the league in possession, 55%. It's a tactic we switched to later in the year, and it was successful but wasn't dominant. Even though we held 55%, we still didn't dominate a ton of matches and get the results we wanted. We still kept games really close, and teams were able to steal a lot of games from us. So, possession is good, but maybe a little misleading. Tackles. We were a little poor in tackles, 6th in the league, 86%. It's only 2 percentage points off of the leader in the league. So again, I don't know if this is misleading, the fact that we are in the bottom half of the league, but still 86% of your tackles seems pretty decent to me anyway. But yeah, it just shows a little bit of defensive lacking. We did have some lacking at our fullbacks in terms of tackling. We did have great central defenders, but we weren't a great defensive team at every position. And then Lease conceded this, again, finishing 5th in the league. It seems okay. We're top 5, but again, there's only 10 teams in the league, so 37 goals allowed, 10 more than Chattanooga, more than TFC2. All the teams we were chasing, aside from Madison, who didn't really matter because they scored so many goals, it didn't matter. They still finished 20 goals above what they allowed. So Madison is sort of the outlier. But Richmond, North Texas, TFC2 were all the teams we were chasing, and we scored in, we let in more goals than them. So again, it seems like a misleading stat, but I think defensively is where if you put it all together, especially when you come here to shutouts and say we're tied for 5th in the league, I guess only 8 shutouts on a 28-game season. It's not great. So you put it all together and you say our defense just wasn't that great. When you say we're 3rd in the league in scoring, top in the league in possession, and yet we still couldn't finish in the top 4 in the league, it just means our defense wasn't championship level, I think. Fouls, 8th in the league in fouls, so I guess that's good. We didn't foul, but maybe that shows a lack of aggressiveness on defense. Passing accuracy, 1st in the league. That's excellent. It's one of the things we found out about our team early in the year. Even when we weren't playing a possession style, we were playing like more of a counterattack style, we were still top in the league in passing. So we just sort of leaned into that because our team was good, just good passing all the way around. But again, you'd think a team top in the league in possession, top in the league in passing accuracy, you would make the playoffs, but was not to be. Crossing, Madison number 1. They had the big target in Mason Toy. Tucson, of course, also had a big target man up top with T-Bear. Lansing 5th, again, dead even. That's where we finished in the league, was 5th, so we're seeing all these 5th place finishes. Maybe it is what we earned was a 5th place shot. And then again, best accuracy shooting. So I kind of wanted to blame our offense and say we didn't score enough, right? We didn't have any strikers who I thought were top level scorers. No guys with like 14, 15, 16 in scoring, striking. But offensively, we've got excellent offensive numbers. We got 3 first places and a 3rd place in the major offensive categories. So I don't think it was our offense that let us down. It was our defense that let us down. I don't know what else to make from these stats. We can kind of look at the player stats, see if we got anybody finishing top of the league. Goals scored. Dane St. Clair. Yeah, what is top? Wait a minute. Why is a goalkeeper the top scorer in the league? Okay, that's better. We were clicked on something else. I don't know what that was, but Mason Toy, of course, leader in the league in goals scored. Theo Bear had a great second half to the season, scoring 17 goals overall to finish 2nd. So 2 guys who are MLS caliber up there scoring top of the league. And then look at that, Alex Bruce, 3rd in the league. I was going to go on this whole spiel, this whole rant about how Bruce wasn't a top flight goal scorer. And yet here he is finishing 3rd in the league with 12 finishing and 9 composure, So again, misleading perhaps, or I just had a misleading view of our own guy. He's better than I thought he was. Finishing 3rd in the league. That's pretty good. Assists. Nobody on the assist chart. That's bad. That's pretty bad. For a team that had such high accuracy in passing and possession, and we don't have a single guy on the assist chart, that could be a problem right there. We weren't working the ball in to our strikers quite enough, perhaps. Distance run, that's not terrifically important, but again, we only have 1 guy on the list, Marshall Hollingsworth, our left winger. Key tackles, again, we weren't a great tackling team, and there's nobody on the list. Least conceded, where's our goalkeeper? Our goalkeeper's 4th in the league, Stephen Cleveland. Again, he was a guy I was going to blame and say, look at his reflexes. Not a great shot stopper. His agility is only 12, It's okay. He's an average, super average goalkeeper, and I was going to say he didn't stop enough shots, but 4th in the league, top, that's playoff position right there. So individual players, a little better than I thought they were. Most shutouts, tied for 4th in the league with, again, 8 shutouts. We knew that from the team because he started every game. Most tackles, don't have anybody on the tackles, so again, nobody on our defensive team did much work. Dribbles, Rafa did a lot of dribbling, showing that flair, that Brazilian heritage, finishing 2nd in the league in dribbles. Key passes, Again. Okay, there we go. Perez, yeah, 3rd in the league in passing. He played outstanding. You know, he played better than his attributes would lead you to believe. Especially his physical attributes, not that great. Only 11 passing, and yet still managed to make a lot of key passes. Oh, Gomez up there as well. So our midfielders outplayed themselves this year. They played very well, both of these guys, but for some reason they just couldn't get enough assists. Best at hitting the target, number 1, Marshall Hollingsworth, only 3 goals. You know, for a winger to be best in shots, you'd prefer that to be your striker. But still, you got a guy at number 1, top of the league. That's pretty good. You can't argue with that. Jaden Nelson. Some weird names on this list. Not a ton of number 1 strikers up here. Perusa for TFC2 is a top striker. I guess Morrill, but none of the top goal scorers are on this list, so that's kind of weird. But anyway, I don't know what else to look at as far as stats go, but we can look at Lansing. And one of the things I was going to talk about for Lansing is they did get a new head coach. You can see here Nico Estevez. It's a name I recognize from somewhere. I'm not sure where, but I do recognize that name, and he's a pretty decent coach. Better than me, anyway. You know, man management, motivating, judging players, 13 working with youngsters. He's pretty good. 11s all across the board. Very solid head coach at this level, so good for him. You know, finances they list as okay here, and I was going to pull up the editor and take a look at the club details, the finances. You can see it negative $155,000 in the bank. Now I have moved the season on a little bit just to sort of look at a few different things. You know, obviously look at the playoffs and things like that. So when we ended the season, we were negative $6,500. And you know, there were a few mistakes we made, I think, financially when it comes to those. Obviously, the transfers that we tried to make. Take a look at the transfer history. Yeah, take a look at the transfer history. So early season, these don't count because we were just bringing players into our roster. But, you know, we were able to sell a couple of players, and it was that last sale at the end of the season where we thought we were going to sell a 3rd player to Austin FC. Austin FC was kind of our lifeline this year. They were really after a lot of our players. And we almost sold our central defender Quafic to them, but at the end of the season, they couldn't fit him under MLS roster rules, so we were unable to make the deal. But what really killed us was bringing in these 3 guys, unfortunately. You know, finishing 6,500 over the balance, you know, bringing these 3 guys in is kind of what did it, because that's just extra salary every month racking up. And even though they're pretty cheap, each of these guys are like, you know, making not a lot of money. Well, I guess Kraft is kind of expensive, $34K, so he's a little bit above average. But Burke at $20K, and then Maher at $18.25K. Those guys are relatively cheap, but that was enough to sink us, you know. Without this final trade, sort of jumping the gun and bringing in these 2 guys to replace Quafic, who we were trading, and then to have that deal fall through and being unable to get rid of these guys, that really killed us. And, you know, we can take a look at the spreadsheet. I'll finally show you the infamous spreadsheet for all the financials, and we can take a look at that real quick, and we can go over the numbers there. Okay, here we are, the infamous spreadsheet that I've been talking about all season long. The infamous untitled spreadsheet, because as you can see, I forget to name my spreadsheets. One of my many character flaws. The other thing to point out is that I kind of started this spreadsheet a little bit late, so we don't have the first 2 months of expenses. I just sort of looked back at the video and was able to see what the overall income was, but I wasn't able to see like the expenses for those first 2 months. But anyway, you can see that as of February, we were negative 5,900. The first time all year that we were in the negative. And, at that point, I thought, okay, we're going to be in trouble here. Like, we're going to have to sell everybody. And I wasn't quite sure how the finances and income were going to go. But luckily, in March, when the season started, we got two pretty big boosts. First of all, we got a huge boost in merchandise. As you can see here, we went from 8,000 to 28,000. So we had a huge rush of fans come in, buy all the new merchandise. And honestly, their support was pretty stable all season long. You can see, somewhere around the $20,000 mark all season long. That's pretty good for a fan base that, maybe didn't show up to the games quite as much as we hoped they would. But then the other big boost we got in March was the season tickets. We got a nice little chunk of change from season tickets, and that brought us back into the positive $43,000. Then in April, we sold our first player for 145 grand. That was outstanding. Again, gave us a little bit of boost. I was hoping it would give us more of a boost, but our expenses were also, I don't understand sometimes. Like, we got a big boost in income here with the sale and a dramatic drop in costs. But yet we only gained a net 30 grand there. So I feel like there are some expenses that are hidden somewhere around, because the numbers don't always balance out. Like, we made 195,000 in April, and we only lost 97. So we should have gotten like around $100,000 in profit. Just I don't know. I'm not an accountant, so I don't quite understand the flow of cash, but it seems like we should have been 100 grand up at least. But anyway, the next couple of months were interesting, as in May we got a huge boost in our gate. 10 times our gate money. We went to 128,000. And that was because of our nice run in the U.S. Cup. We were able to get some income from the away matches in bigger stadiums where they're charging more money, and that helped us out in a big, big way. And then June, we got another nice boost in income from having 4 home games. So if we could have 4 home games every month, our team would be looking pretty good. But unfortunately, that's not the case in USL 1. We do have to go on the road where we don't make any money, and so that kept us down a little bit, but we were still, hanging in there at 58,000 in the bank. Then in July, we sold those 2 players, 168,000. I thought, okay, we're going to make it. This is where we're going to make it. We got 170 grand in the bank. We're looking pretty good, but the next 2 months, we took massive hits. We lost nearly 100 grand in August. We didn't have a lot of home games. And then we lost, another 80 grand in September because, again, we only played 2 games the whole month, but had to pay for all those weeks that we had bye weeks. So we lost another 80 grand there. And, we ended up in a negative balance, even though that's not depicted here. In October rather, we had a negative balance. So that would have not been great unless we could have found some money elsewhere. But yeah, that's the spreadsheet. The thing I'm frustrated about is that our expenses and our income don't really match up with our overall totals. Like, in months that I feel like we should have lost only 50 grand in these last 3 months, we lost like 80 grand a month. So I'm not really sure what happened there. If there's just 30 grand of hidden expenses, or if I'm missing something accounting-wise that I just can't fathom at the moment. But yeah, there you go. There's the spreadsheet. Been using it to keep track all year long. There weren't quite enough months to catch a ton of trends because everything was new. Everything was like up and down. 1 month we'd have huge increases and then huge decreases. So I think we would have needed a couple of seasons of this spreadsheet in order to like track some momentum and see some patterns. Because right now it just seems like every month was a completely different month because of all the different situations. You know, the US Cup, the number of games per month, number of home games per month, etc., etc., etc. So it was a fun experiment to go through and look at all these expenses and everything month to month. But in the end, I don't think it was that helpful, actually, because the numbers didn't match up. So there you go. There's the wonderful untitled spreadsheet. And now we'll go back and finish the video. Okay, so there you go. There's the down and dirty financial details. And I guess the final thing to think about is the job center. Do we continue on this? Because we got some interesting opportunities in front of us. Now, I do have several packs loaded in this database. You know, of course, we've got the Uncle Sam database. We've got the Costa Rican database loaded. We got the Canadian database loaded. So we got a few like weird job offers. So I'm wondering, should we continue and maybe play in some of these weird things? You know, I got my foot or my application in, I guess. I don't know why I said foot. I was going to say foot in the door, I guess. But I got my application into Air Force in the college ranks. That's a team that, you know, I've got a soft spot in my heart for the military academies, you know, their sports programs. So, you know, I got an application into Air Force. Got the Costa Rican division. I never played in Costa Rica before. They've had several teams on this list that I've applied for. Maybe we could jump back into USL and take one of our rival teams and try to beat Lansing for next year. Take a Canadian team if one of them pops up. One of them did pop up earlier, but it was filled pretty early. I've been trying to load some of the other divisions, but they won't come in until after January, so might have a job by then. I don't know. We could take Uzbekistan to the World Cup. Could do something weird. So I don't know. Let me know if you want to see any of these weird things, or should we start a different database, start over, you know, do a Premier League save like, you know, everybody else, or go somewhere else. I don't know. I got no plans right now for the future. So just let me know if you want to see anything in particular. If not, I might just wait till FM21. I'm still not sure at this point. But that's going to do it for this save. Lansing Ignite is done and over with. So until whenever, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.